Please review the images in this folder. I gave it the pictures and it drew the whole thing in Fusion. All right, so the purpose of this experiment is just to see what you can get done with AI today. So back in 2004 and 2005, I 3D printed metals out of titanium alloys. The device I was using was called the Lens. It was developed by a company called Optimec, which was a spin out of Sandia National Labs, and we had the prototype. It was very, very finicky, very prototype system. Of course, even back then, we were using SLI files, and I recall just before I was finishing my thesis that they were starting to demonstrate that there were plastic 3D printers, and they were like $20,000 at the time. But this is the first time I've ever 3D printed anything at my house with my own stuff. It's been a minute since I've had Fusion 360, and I'm frankly not that proficient with it. Here's an alternative. What I can do is I can take these photos, download it, let's put them over here. So now I'm just gonna try, I could try Grok, I could try ChatGPT. Grok is usually pretty good with images, so I'm gonna try Grok first. I would like you to generate an image that I can use to create a 3D model. Put all these here. I'm on expert mode. This is a paid version of Grok. Sometimes too much instruction can be bad, but I want to be specific. Main area to cover is the positive terminal connections, red on the lower left. I have included a right angle tool with measurements. All right, let's see what Grok does with this. Wow, let's go right for it. Let's see what it does. Still working. We are 1 minute and 18 seconds into Grok's thinking. I'm really curious. I've never tried anything like this before, so let's see what it does. It might come up with some really stupid thing. Or not. Okay. Fuck. Okay. I mean, this is cool. It said, okay, it gave me a thing to print here. That's hilarious. And it gave me dimensions. And it did it well. But I wanted it here. And then it came up with just like some freaking random fake thing. I'm like, what the hell is this? I didn't make that. It invented things. Okay, we're done with this. Now, if this doesn't work, I might try Claude Cowork. And Claude Cowork is pretty phenomenal. Okay. Damn it. That is not at all what you drew. All right, now I'm going to try Claude Cowork just for fun. You can go to projects over here on the left menu. This is in Cowork. It's not code. New project, start from scratch. Let's call it 3D printed cover for Fuse panel. Project to design a simple 3D printable cover for a Fuse panel and a vehicle. The folder that I created. Please review the images in this folder. I want to 3D print a cover for the left-hand side red terminals on this fuse block and wiring panel that I made. I want to cover the red terminals with a very simple 3D printable. Now we're burning some tokens. Let's see. Claude Cowork, getting busy. Sometimes it says, oh, I couldn't find them in your folder. And I have to go through permissions and BS. Yep, there it is. I don't see the images. Just freaking look. Yes. The thing you want to cover is the red dual stud power distribution block in the upper left of the panel. Yeah, I guess by that orientation. 2 silver hex nut studs sitting in a red insulator base. Yep. With several red heat shrink ring terminals stacked on them. Yep, that's exposed 12-volt battery power. Yes. To the right is a frosted 6-way fuse block already covered in the black knob. Amazing. Yes, Claude, you're correct. One important caveat up front, in the interest of not feeding you the wrong number, there are no written dimensions in the photos. You've placed a Xinhua square ruler next to the panel as a scale reference. Yes. I can estimate sizes from that ruler. Yes. But photo scaling has real error. Fine. That's fine. Screwed to base plate. Yes. Man, Claude is freaking amazing. Now, this is a paid version of Claude I use for my business. I use this to code and build spreadsheets and models and write Python and build HTML interfaces, and it's freaking great. As you can see, it's extremely intuitive. But it has not yet rendered anything, so let's see what it does. So I don't know if you saw that, but it gave me a prompt and it said, do you want it to be like a slip fit over the top of the terminal, or do you want it to be screwed to the base plate? And it gave me a third option as well, which I didn't even read. I was like, yeah, screw to the base plate. Kinda. It's funny that it's drawing it before my very eyes. I hate it when AI does this. A few honest points. Well, you don't need to tell me you're being honest. Just fucking be honest. Dimensions are estimated. Yes. Street thesis ballpark. Yes. You don't need to generate a printable file. Just give me a picture that I can put into, what's it called? Tripo Studio for final rendering and slice. I think it knows what that is, or we'll go find out. I'm surprised it said it could give me an STL. I should have tried that just to see. What's amazing is it's July of 2026 right now. I bet you in a year, if it's not Claude or something else, there will be an AI app that you just give a picture and you've got something that you can modify and 3D model and convert to STL within minutes. What's the phrase? I might be using a hammer to kill a fly right now. 1 minute and 33 seconds into the request. Burning some tokens. Woo! Oh, that's smart. You want a clean single object image to feed into Tripo Studio's image to 3D, not an annotated diagram. For that, the input should be one solid object, plain background, no text or dimension lines, clear depth shading. Let me build that and export a PNG. Yes. Claude, you are so clever. Thank you. I feel like AI is sort of like a super smart intern where you're like, hey, they run off and go do a bunch of stuff and come back and show you something that's completely different than what you expected, but is literally what you asked. See, now it's starting to overthink it. Hard black shadow disk. It said it was going to do a PNG, but it's saying that it's been working on an SVG file, which I don't need. If this doesn't produce any, hey, okay, maybe, yeah. So it asked me if I wanted to give it dimensions or if it should estimate them from my photos, and I said estimate them from my photos since I put the speed square in there. Yeah, Claude's still working. It's been running for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm really burning tokens right now. Okay, funny stuff. So it did produce an STL, and whoops, not that one. That's the STL. It gave me a picture, and it gave me a rough diagram. I mean, this is all Claude. Thank you, Claude. And then I went to this. So this was Tripo, and it rendered a 3D model from the picture from Claude, just as Claude drew it, including all the cheesy, like, bad angles and stuff. So basically from a picture and no 3D model, I mean, this sucks. It's not great, but I was able to generate a 3D model. I could print this. I could export this from Tripo and print it. It's got some issues. These windows are not in the right place, and it's solid. It needs to be hollow. But it's possible, in theory, to create a 3D model without drawing anything. I think I'm gonna have to just do it in Fusion 360 and suck it up and restart my subscription, but this was a fun experiment. In hindsight, I think if I didn't even give the pictures to Claude and I said, draw me a box with these dimensions and flanges on the bottom to screw it in, and it needs to be hollow, and the purpose of it is to go over a couple terminal plugs, I think it could do it. And I would have a better model than this probably. So I wouldn't even have to give it the pictures. I could just say, do this. I mean, it generated an STL file, which is pretty amazing. I didn't have to install any software or anything. Claude just did it. So that's pretty slick, huh? We've demonstrated that you can do CAD without CAD. You can ask Claude to do it, and then it'll give you an SLI, and you can put it straight into your Bamboo Studio or whatever your slicer software is. How can I get to Tony Stark and Iron Man, right? Where I can just sit here and say, do this, do that, and then I walk off and do something else.
Wake up, Daddy's home.
Welcome home, son.
And the closest thing to that, I think, is Claude. Well, there's Grok Build, but that's all like code. There's Claude Code. So like Grok Build and Claude Code are direct competitors. But there's Claude from Anthropic using CoWork. You don't have to code anything. You can do it all through a language interface, which is what I need because I'm not a super good coder. And I have a limited set of software tools that I am skilled with. Of course, there's Copilot within Microsoft. Copilot sucks, okay? So, like, never mind. There's Google Workspace Studio, which I haven't played with, and I don't know how good it is. And then there's stuff like, I mean, you remember Claudebot? Like, that's, nobody even talks about that anymore. That was revolutionary like 2 months ago. Right now, it's end of July 2026, and nobody says anything about that anymore. So, what is the closest thing to being Tony Stark with Jarvis, right? I think right now it's Claude. And the way to do it is through presently connectors. If I go into my Claude CoWork and I go to connectors, it just shows me what I have connected, which right now is Microsoft 365. They have a connector to Fusion 360. So this means that if I want to renew my Fusion 360 subscription, which I'm avoiding doing because I don't want to pay the money. But if I want to, one of my biggest challenges with Fusion 360 has always been the learning curve. Or I'm not very prolific with it because I have to basically reteach myself every time I use it. Well, look at this. Now I can plug Claude into it. And if I can plug Claude into it, that means I can just do language instructions to Claude and it will teach me or just do the things that I ask it to do. Once you log in on the web interface for Claude, you go to this plus sign down here in connectors, add connector, browse connectors. So there they are. So now I want the Fusion 360. So I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to say yes, download. I went ahead and downloaded Autodesk Fusion and I chose the Hobby and Maker edition, which is free. Okay, so I'm not getting billed for this right now. I went to Claude, and when you get your connector put in, you can go into CoWork, and you see down here, you go up to your connectors, and you can see that Autodesk Fusion is in here, okay? Now, one thing that you have to do is you go up to your initials up here, your account in the upper right, and you go to Preferences, and you see under General API, there's this Fusion MCP server script, and the default number here is 27182. I don't know entirely what that means, but you have to get that selected so that Claude can talk to Fusion through the connector. And once that's done, you might need to refresh both the softwares to get them to sync. But once that's done, Claude is now doing things in Fusion. So I gave it the pictures that I drew with it before, and I said, okay, remember these? And I want the top of it open to let the wires exit out. And it said, all right, cool. And it drew the whole thing in Fusion. So here we are. There's a revised version ready to print. Well, not quite. I still need to convert it to a printable file, but this is the 3D model. Okay, the AI assistant within Autodesk is not bad. So I'm just going to ask it, how do I know if the orientation I chose is most efficient for print volume. Let's see what it says. Based on what was already covered in our earlier search results, I can answer this directly. Basically, it's saying stupid. Oh, added. Okay, that's right. So up here I did additive position, automatic orientation, additive actions, additive position, automatic orientation. Go to ranking, and I want very low support volume. So it still says that's the way to do it. So I wonder if on this top end of the box, if it's going to use any supports at all. I wonder if it'll be able to print it that way. But that's what Claude said to do. So that's interesting. So I'm just saying to Claude, okay, I have it open in Fusion. I've got my printer calibrated. I think I'm okay with the orientation. What do I need to do to print this thing? I'm just burning tokens here, learning. Somewhere, probably at XAI's Colossus 1, the generators are kicking on and the NVIDIA GPUs are overheating, and Claude is dealing with my very arbitrary, kind of silly request here. Okay, so export from Fusion. Well, can you do it for me? Let's see if it does it for me. It's telling me what to do. You see, this is me being lazy. Are you connected to Fusion? Can you do this for me? And it's going to say, well, you don't have a connector. I do. It's asking me for a lot of permissions. It's writing files. It's going to export. Wow, yes. Wow. So it did it. It's now exporting an STL file or 3MF file for me to print. And then I'm going to say, okay, well, how do I use it in the Bambu Labs? Yeah, and wow, it even says open in Bambu Studio. Yes, I will allow. Okay, so it told me that's the part I can do, and then it gave me instructions already. I didn't even have to prompt it. It says open Bambu Studio, select your H2D. I opened it in Bambu Studio. I have 3 colors loaded in the H2D AMS. I want to use red. All right, I'm sending it to the H2D to print. And look at that, it got it. There we go, it's done. That is a very, very nice quality print. The molds feel so smooth. Holy crap. And there you go. Completely printed with AI. And there we go. So this was the printer I was going to start with. This is a Tevo Tornado. And I've had this sitting here for at least a couple years. So you don't have to use a Bambu printer. You can use something like this. This is a pretty cheap. If I remember, this is like a couple $100. And yeah, I just never got around to sort of putting it together and figuring out how to make it work. I could still use it. It's basically new in box, unassembled. But you don't have to use a Bambu for this. You can get into it for a pretty low investment.